Gussow, and this is something straight out of my mind. So today I am going to be asking the help of everybody watching this, and that goes from if you know who it is I'm looking for or what I'm talking about to just sharing the heck out of it, because I think this is a little more maybe difficult, but at the same time a little more fun than just trying to identify a mystery toy, which, by the way, hasn't been identified yet. So we are still looking for that. I will put a link to the mystery toy video in the description, so if you haven't seen that video and you want to give it a try, you can take a look at that one too. But as you can see from the title, I've called this Mystery Friend. And this is one of those things that every once in a while it just comes back to me. And I'm like, who was this person? So I have to go back in time. Come with me. And I actually have something to document that it was indeed 1967. And I was attending what they called then nursery school. And I was attending nursery school here in Indianapolis, Indiana, at what was then called the JCCA, which was the Jewish Community Center Association. And it isn't that anymore, it's just the Jewish Community Center, or the Glick Jewish Community Center, but that association thing isn't there anymore. And this building has been remodeled to heck since then. There have been a couple major remodels since the nursery school days. And like now they have a huge early childhood wing and all this stuff. But at the time, there were 2 nursery school classes. And I started out in one class, and I have to say I ended up like getting promoted to the other one. I don't really know how or when that all happened. But when I started in nursery school, I had a teacher named Mrs. Romer. This is Mrs. Joyce Romer. And this is partly, I remember the name because this is the name my mother actually remembers from the time that this one nursery school teacher of mine was Mrs. Romer. And part of the reason she remembered that is because subsequently over the decades, she ran into Mrs. Romer. And, you know, it's that type of thing that I guess helps you remember somebody. But this was the first teacher, and I do have to say, I've got the main mystery here, which is the mystery friend. There's a couple other sub-mysteries that go with this, so that if somebody can help with that, then please do. I have to say that when I moved to the other classroom, I don't know the name of the other teacher, and my mother doesn't either. So that's one of the side mysteries. So when I'm done babbling here, if anybody thinks they know who the other teacher may have been, please let me know. Mystery friend. Now, I don't know if I simply met this mystery friend on the first day of nursery school or how that even worked out. I think starting nursery school, you know, the biggest thing that was important to me, there was this row of cubbies and they were different colors. And I wanted a pink cubby and I had a pink cubby. You know, it's amazing what was important at that time. But I remember in Mrs. Romer's class, she taught me to splatter paint. And I would come home with like dried paint flecks in my hair, and I didn't quite realize that if I'd saved these things, I could make a fortune on them. If you've seen some of the Jackson Pollock work. But like I said, I loved it. I would have done that activity the whole time I was there, every day. I loved to splatter paint, and I was always, of course, disappointed that I could not splatter paint at home. We didn't have an easel, we didn't have drop cloths or anything to make sure that nothing got messed up. So, but I did a lot of splatter painting. So somewhere along the line, I ended up with a best friend. And I say that I have hard facts and soft facts here. And one hard fact, her name was Phyllis. And Phyllis what? I couldn't tell you. Just couldn't. But she was my best friend. And in fact, we were both to be promoted to the other classroom at the same time. And I showed up the day we were supposed to be promoted, and she wasn't there that day. And I would not go to the other class. I was afraid to go without her, or didn't want to go without her. I don't really know what the story is. But I stayed in Mrs. Romer's room one more day. And Phyllis was there the next day, and we both went over to the other classroom, where I think splatter painting ended, but I remember that we loved to do the stories with the felt boards. It was an easel with the piece of felt, and there were cut out characters, and I remember that was one of my favorite things to do in that room. So, what I have actually, this is from December 29th, 1967, and is a bulletin from the JCCA. And the reason that my mother saved it was simply because there were pictures from the nursery school. And we're going to get closer here. This is Mrs. Romer, and this is me. And this is why my mother saved the picture. And I have no idea who this is or any of the children here. And what's interesting is I have taken like a magnifier to these pictures, but it becomes so pixelated even with just the slightest amount of magnification that it makes it worse. But, so these are from the first classroom. And according to this, it was around Hanukkah time where we were making decorations and things. And I actually remember for Hanukkah going into the other classroom, and they had all the tables together, and we ate latkes. Yes, if anybody knows me, yes, I can always associate anything with food, a memory, anything at all. It's there. So one of the other hard facts here is that it was the school year of 67-68. So, obviously I'm looking for somebody who isn't necessarily even in Indiana anymore, but who went to JCCA nursery school and was 3 or 4 years old for this 67-68 nursery school year. Soft memory is, I am picturing Phyllis as having short hair. She had bangs. I know that's not a lot of help, but that's all I've got. But this could be fun to do. I don't even know if Phyllis is somewhere in these pictures. I don't want to get dinged by anybody, but based on like the little overall outfits, a lot of them just look like little boys. I don't know, but that's why I said I tried to take a magnifying glass to it. I don't know that it would have helped because it's such a vague memory. But that would have been the year, that would have been the age. So somebody who knows that they were living in Indianapolis in 1967-68, who would have gone to JCCA nursery school and maybe even remembered that they moved to a different classroom where they were in Mrs. Romer's room to begin with. Like I said, I don't have a lot of information, but it is what I have. I actually remember, it's interesting how these things come up because my mother having a conversation with Phyllis, pretty sure this is her, who had a Band-Aid on her toe one day, and it was because her mother had been using little manicure scissors to try to cut her toenails, and she jerked and got cut. And that was a story. I don't know if this is any, if somebody's mother is anything like mine, they've heard about it over. You remember the time? So maybe this resonates. As I said, I don't know Phyllis's last name. I have no idea. I can't envision her mother, a Mrs. Anybody. And apparently I never saw Phyllis again after nursery school. So, I don't know where her next stop was as far as school. A lot of kids who lived like in Carmel, and if you're familiar with Indiana, Indianapolis area, you know Carmel, who came to the JCCA to go to nursery school, and things like the JEA to go to Hebrew school. So I don't know where she ended up. And this is somebody who could be anywhere in the country, in the world. At least we have narrowed it down to planet Earth, I hope. As I said, we get to the other classroom. So like I said, the other mystery for me is, who is this teacher? If you are around and you're seeing this and you know that in 1967 you taught nursery school at JCCA and Mrs. Romer was the other teacher, I want to hear you. I did mention a third mystery. When I got to this other classroom, there was a little boy in there that I had the absolute worst crush on. May have been my first crush ever. His name I do know, and it's not really a big help. And when I tell you his name, you'll see why. His name was Bobby Brown. That helps narrow it down, absolutely. And I just remember that was the name of the crush, and part of the reason I remember his name is my mother remembered it. And every once in a while she'd even, if I talked about having a crush on somebody, she'd, remember Bobby Brown? And so there you have it. The only thing I really remember with him is having been invited to his birthday party, and his mother, there was like a basement area, and she showed like cartoons like on a movie screen, which was really unique. And he's another one, I don't know, but we're looking specifically for somebody who would have been at JCCA nursery school 1967-68. So, that's the facts of the case. And, for me, I like a good mystery as much as anybody. My curiosity about who this friend of mine was has just never escaped. And I feel that the advantages of the World Wide Web and being able to make a video like this at least offers a way to try to solve the mystery. So thank you for watching, and if you have even the littlest hint, share it with me. If you have another question, share that with me too, and I will see you next time there's something straight out of my mind, or if we get a solution to this, I will be back.